This is a Rough Tiger production.
And you, and you, and you, and you were there. Some of it wasn't very nice, but most of it was beautiful.
How do,
Hello.
everybody?
Howdy. And we're back.
This is Dream Idiots, and I'm Dream Idiot number one, and my co-host Bryan Treat is Dream Idiot number two. Although that will change every other week or so. How are you, Bryan?
I'm doing great. It's nice and warm here. It's not really wintry at all. I was out in t-shirt in shorts and a t-shirt today. It's fabulous. God bless Texas.
Oh, it is not the same here. It is very cold. So Bryan, where can the good folks, the fine folks where can they find our stuff? If they're
We
so
are all
inclined?
over. If you're listening to us on, obviously you are listening to us because you're listening to us right now. If you can go to us on any platform, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Amazon, all of those things. If you can listen to us, shoot us 5 stars, helps us climb the charts. That'd be great. You can listen to us actually just on our website, dreamidiots.com. You can even write to us at dreamidiotspodcast@gmail.com. Give us a curse word to do, give us a story idea, or just say hello, any of the above. We'd appreciate it. And
Awesome.
thanks for what you're doing for us.
And I hope that you'll enjoy the holiday sampler we put out there to give as a gift to people who aren't listening to it yet. Bryan, we put that list together, and Bryan slammed that together for us with some of our favorite stories and bits from the show.
Mm-hmm.
We'll probably do that every year around holiday time to get that out there as a gift to give to that obstinate ass who you just do not know who to shop for.
Absolutely.
So if you're new to the show, we take turns going first every week. You've got 2 stories, one from each of us, and then a curse word sandwich in between, and sometimes updates from previous shows. No updates this week, right?
No updates this week. Probably some bonus content later on. We're trying to figure out how to roll out some bonus content, maybe through Patreon or do some other things. But I think we'll likely probably knock out a new episode every week, but also drop in some bonus things. Some updates, maybe a good thing to put into something that is like maybe premium content down the road. I don't know. We have to figure that out, but it's coming.
All right. Well, let's keep going. I get to go first because this is an even numbered episode. We're at episode 52, I think we decided. And Bryan, I'm going to return to an oldie but a goodie. It's time to go back to Ultima Verba Part 2, Last Words of Famous People.
Excellent. Okay.
So again, I have a list. I like to do this in lists of 13. So I've got 13 famous last words here. And you can have fun guessing at it if you like. But I'll give you a little information about the person who said it, and we'll see if you can figure out who said these final last words. Okay. Number 13. These last words were spoken in German in May of 1945. It was a suicide. And you got to picture this in German now or hear it in German. But they said the words, and this should be pretty easy. I am Heinrich Himmler.
Mickey Mouse. No, I'm assuming it was Himmler.
It was Himmler, yeah.
Okay.
It was Heinrich Himmler's final words. That was just kind of a warm-up to get us going.
Why would he say that?
So that was, I believe he wanted to not be associated with some other group of people, and so he stood up and let them know he was Heinrich Himmler. Oh. I'm really not sure. He was like most Nazis. He was a real ass. So
a bit dark, was he?
Yes. So speaking of that, these final words, this is number 12 on the list, spoken on May 10th, 1994. American serial killer and all-around American asshole spoke these words just prior to his execution. His final words were these 3 words: "Kiss my ass."
1994?
Mm-hmm. I remember watching the news of this come down on the campus television. Now, American serial killer and all-around asshole.
John Wayne Gacy?
John Wayne Gacy, that's right. The clown himself.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Clown.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, very good. All right. This This particular number 11 was actually a suicide note. It's written sometime in February 2005. It's a long one. Here we go. See if you can figure out who wrote this. No more games, no more bombs, no more walking, no more fun, no more swimming. 67. 17 years past 50. 17 more than I needed or wanted. Boring. I'm always bitchy. No fun for anybody. 67. You're getting greedy. Act your old age. Relax. This won't hurt.
What year is this?
2005.
2005.
Writer, provocateur.
Fear and Loathing.
Ashes was shot out of a cannon for his funeral.
I almost said Paul F. Tompkins.
Oh, it's not Paul F. Tompkins. That would certainly surprise Paul F. Tompkins if that were his last words.
Shit. Then I almost said Hunter Biden. Why can't I come up with it? This is mind blowing.
He's staring off into the middle distance like he's trying to remember the lineup for his favorite Boston Red Sox team.
Hunter S. Thompson.
Hunter S. Thompson, that is correct.
Okay.
Yes, that was the suicide note he left.
Shit, okay. Hunter Biden.
Number
Close
10.
enough.
This is from April 1975. This person died of a cerebral hemorrhage at the age of 68. She was an American expatriate living in France. She was actually a French citizen by this time. She was a singer, dancer, and actress. Her final words were, as she was leaving a party that was thrown in her honor, "Oh, you young people act like old men. You're no fun."
1975.
Paris, France.
Paris, France. Man. I don't know. I'm stumped on this one. No idea.
That was the great Josephine Baker. Those were her final words.
Okay. Gotcha.
All right. This next one is from, these are the final words from an American military officer, 1876, just before his death from lots of bullets. His final words were, "Hey, where the hell did all these guys come from?" In addition to the bullets, there were probably some arrows, a couple spears, maybe a club or two.
George Custer.
Yeah, those were actually not his final words, but yes, that's who I was going for.
Okay.
His final words were actually a letter to his wife. But
Okay.
yeah, I'd like to think that probably on the battlefield, those were his last words.
Hunter Custer. Got it. Okay.
Number 9, English author who passed away in January of 1950 at the age of 46 of a pulmonary hemorrhage. His final words allegedly were, "At 50, everyone has the face he deserves."
Oh, I've heard this before.
He's one of your favorites, actually. I believe.
George Orwell? No.
George Orwell. Very good.
Okay.
You're killing it, Bryan. All right. Number 8. Spoken over telecoms, January 28th, 1986. American astronaut. Roger, Houston, go at throttle up.
What year? 86?
86. American astronaut.
Um,
Roger, Houston, go at throttle up.
Roger Chaffee.
Close. That was Mission Commander Dick Scobie
Dang, okay.
for the Challenger. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're coming up on that's hard to believe, the 37th anniversary of that. Oh my God, we're so old.
Well, yeah, fuck, we're old. Yep.
This number 6, this American actress, to a nurse she overheard praying for her on the 10th of May, 1977, as she lay dying in her bed. She looked up at the nurse and said, "Don't you dare ask God to help me."
1977.
Mm-hmm.
Joan Crawford.
Damn, Bryan. Very good.
Really? Oh,
yes. Yes.
It's a San Antonio native, Joan Crawford, by the way.
That's right.
Yeah.
Number 6, from a taped recording. We didn't commit suicide. We committed an act of revolutionary suicide, protesting the conditions of an inhumane world. Spoken by a religious leader and all-around American asshole on November 18th, 1978. Death by gunshot.
Jim Jones.
Jim Jones, that is correct.
Has to be, yeah.
I made this too easy for you. You no, he really wasn't. Number 5, you were racing through these, and the only one you've missed is the Josephine Baker. Number 5, American band leader, died December 15th, 1944, somewhere over the English Channel. Final words heard via telecommunications were, "Where the hell are the parachutes?"
Oh, yeah, I know this one too. Shit. Glenn Miller.
Glenn Miller. Yes, you are killing it. That means you're going to have some rough ones for the final edition of when we get to the final edition, because I scraped out some really bad ones that were rough. Okay. Number 4, June 9th, 1911. This American temperance advocate's final words were, "I have done what I could."
Oof. Shoot, I don't know. Susan B. Anthony.
You're gonna hate yourself. You're gonna Carrie Nation. Woo!
Oh.
Number 3. This English children's author, illustrator, natural scientist, and conservationist. Her final words, death of pneumonia in December of 1943, were, "Upon deepest reflection, Peter Cottontail was a bit of a wanker."
Oh, crap. I'm not going to come up with this. If I sat here in silence for half an hour, it's not A.A. Milne. It's not C.S. Lewis. It's not Lewis Carroll. Shit.
It's Beatrix Potter. It's Beatrix Potter, and it's not real. I was joking you around. Upon deepest reflection, Peter Cottontail was a bit of a wanker. Come on. The death of this interpreter and guide in November of 1622's final words were, pray for me, that I may go to the Englishman's God in heaven."
What year again?
1622.
That's not Shakespeare. Shakespeare died early. Shakespeare died 10 years before.
This person is an interpreter and a guide.
I don't know.
Pray for me, that I may go to the Englishman's God in heaven, were the last known words spoken by Squanto.
Oh.
Ah!
Okay.
I got 2 more to go, and I've got to say that most of these came from a great book that I picked up. I'll just give the sources now. Wikipedia for some of these, but most of these came from a book I've got the Kindle edition of, The Last Words of Notable People, 3,500 Final Last Word Collection by William Brahms, published in 2010. And I was ripping through these, and there's some really great quotes in there. You can get kind of mired down because they've got every single pope, Pope Clement, Pope so-and-so. This next one really got to me, though. Spoken by a professional baseball player and coach. Final known words, July 22nd, 2007, were, "If you're going first to third, you've got to be sure."
2007.
Baseball player and coach.
Yogi Berra?
"If you're going first to third, you've got to be sure," were the final words spoken by my childhood friend, Michael Coolbaugh, who appears in this book.
Wow, okay.
I was going through this book, turned the corner, and
found his name.
Wow, that was a stunner. Yes.
Yeah, if you don't know who Mike Coolbaugh is, go back to in the first 10 episodes, Morris covers the story of Mike Coolbaugh. It's in the first
12
few.
or 13, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was an early one. And that was just Pope Clement, Sam Cooke. Uh, yeah, heck of a player, athlete, good guy, Mike Kuba. Final one for this round of Ultima Verba. Spoken June 14th, 1801. This American military commander's final words were, "Let me die in the old uniform in which I fought my battles for freedom. May God forgive me for putting on any other."
1801.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Let me die in the old uniform in which I fought my battles for freedom. May God
George
forgive
Washington?
me for putting on any other.
George Washington?
No, it was another general, though. Those were Benedict Arnold's final words.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Makes more sense now.
Yeah, and the guys over at the Dollop did a really great episode on Benedict Arnold.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, I listened to that. Yeah.
By history.
Right,
So there
right.
you go. Another round of Ultima Verba. Sad, prophetic, funny, touching final lines from people from history.
Yeah, but my favorite from the last one was Graham Chapman's final words of saying, "Sorry, I said fuck."
Yeah, there's some good ones in there.
Hands down the best. And one of my favorites that I've heard, and I don't know, I can't recall now who it was, but there's a Civil War general, I think Confederate general, who in the midst of a battle, he has soldiers that are ducking down around him. He of course is at the rear, and they're ducking down because there are snipers. They're trying to pick people off, and he's admonishing some of his other officers near him for taking cover. And his final words are, quote, "Don't be ridiculous. They couldn't hit an elephant at that dist." Whereupon he's shot in the head. And falls down dead and doesn't even get the word distance out.
Yeah. The great thing about this Brahms book that I mentioned there, I take most of these quotes, is that he has basically he kind of ranks the final words and will say, these are most likely the final words. And here's some other final words that have been attributed to them in levels of like doubtfulness. Like, yeah, this is probably why this didn't happen, and this didn't happen, and this didn't happen.
Right.
So there's some really interesting ones in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, some of them surely said, ouch, or watch this, or something else,
or something totally like they're hallucinating because of the pain, and
right.
Just don't know what they're saying. Yeah,
right.
I mentioned on Oscar Wilde's famous one about either those I'm having a battle with these curtains, either they go or I do, and then he died. They said that was most likely not true because he was. Yeah, because he was in and out of consciousness, and there was another guy whose last words were nigh on impossible because his larynx had been removed like 2 weeks before he died.
Okay, yeah.
So stuff like that. So
right, yeah. For posterity, you have to make folks look good, I guess. Right.
That's right. All right. Well, some people have it down pat, but others. I mean, Joan Crawford's is pretty good. Don't you dare ask God to help me.
Right.
All right. There we go.
All right. We have some words to talk about here. You get curse words this week.
It's time for the Dream Idiot's curse word of the week.
Not so much one word, but we're going to kind of talk briefly about a short list of words. Ever heard of Lake Superior State University?
Lake Superior State University. I believe they're actually the Lakers, right? Is actually their.
I don't know.
I think they're
the fighting Lakers. They're the fighting Michigan. I have no idea what their mascot is. Actually, I had never heard of them before.
I almost used them in one of our college quizzes. I think that's the one. That's all I really know about it.
Okay.
I think they're the Lakers.
Okay.
I'll have to look after the show.
Well, every year since 1976, they actually put out a list of their recommended lists of banished words from the prior year. I don't know why they do this. They actually put out a press release on December 31st of 22. So, 10 days ago. The words from the prior year. They've been doing this forever. They take submissions online, and I guess prior to the internet, I don't know how they took submissions via regular mail, I guess, from all over creation. Apparently George Carlin wrote in back in 1994 suggesting that the words "bada boom, bada bing" be added to their list of words that should be banished. And so it started in 1976. And this press release says that LSSU has compiled the annual banished words list since 1976, later copyrighted the concept, quote, to uphold, protect, and support excellence in language by encouraging avoidance of words and terms that are overworked, redundant, oxymoronic, cliched, illogical, nonsensical, and otherwise ineffective, baffling, or irritating. And we're going to go down this list actually pretty quickly, but the overwhelming majority of these I completely agree with, and I'm sure you'll have a take on them as well. Number one, GOAT, as in greatest of all time. This is just, I'm just sick to death of Meryl Streep. She's just the GOAT. Like, oh my God, stop it. Number two is inflection point. It's sort of a version of pivot point. It sounds like one of those things that corporate types or Elon Musk would use to, I don't know, motivate employees or something. Number three is, have you heard of quiet quitting?
I have not.
Quiet quitting is this notion, and it kind of came up during the pandemic of when all these corporate employers were trying to get people to, you know, be team players and be motivated and do as much as they possibly can. Quiet quitting is not actually quitting, but it's like doing the absolute bare minimum to maintain employment, basically. So it's, it's the absolute minimum. Number four, gaslighting. Gaslighting has been around since this is the movie from the 40s, but gaslighting has now sort of expanded to kind of be this weird umbrella of a whole host of, I don't know, sort of psychological tricks and dishonesty. And so I'm not sure anyone has a clear understanding of what gaslighting even means anymore. The next one is moving forward. And I would, put in there as well the words moving away, as in whenever a professional athlete retires, they always say, well, it's time for me to move away from the game of football or whatever. And for some reason that just bugs the fuck out of me. I can't even quite explain why. And so at some point here in the next 10 years, LeBron James is going to retire from basketball, and he's, well, it's time for me to move away from the game. Oh, God, just say you're retiring. Just saying I'm fucking done. I'm tired of that.
There's a great line. There's a great line in Strangers with the Candy where the two guys are breaking up, and he says, "Are you moving away from me?" "No, I'm pulling me towards myself."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Number six is amazing. Because it's just such an over the top. Just it's good. It's fine. It's had a good day, right? I would associate closely with that. Is for a while there, people were using the word amaze balls. Like, shut the fuck up. Just hate that shit. Number seven, does that make sense? Is just an expression. You're trying to get clarification, but it comes off as a completely, I don't know, kind of passive aggressive. It comes off insulting, basically. And so they're advocating that you stop using it. Number eight, I'm going to skip and come back to in a second. Number nine, absolutely, overused. Just say yes. Absolutely is just over the top. And then number 10, an expression I think you and I have talked about offline that I am sick to death of. It is what it is. It is a completely pointless expression. It means nothing. It's sort of, I don't know. It's just ridiculous. So people stop using it. It makes no damn sense.
Instead say what you mean, which is, we have reached the point of tautology.
Yes. The one here,
okay,
you're okay with that? I actually had go ahead.
No, most of those I've heard. Any substitution of abs for absolutely is up on my list. Any of those that kind of shortens words or my personal one. This is more written, but any business that replaces an S with a Z on the end, where an S should be, I'm
right.
yeah, I'm not there. I'm not
Mhm.
shopping there. Sorry. So go ahead. Sorry.
Or with sports franchises, because I know there's the the bees and the buzz and all those teams you
And the
love.
Jazz and the Stars
Yeah.
and the Blizzard and the
right.
the
Yeah.
cat
Yeah.
the
Just cut it out.
cats. Yeah, just stop.
Right.
Stop.
I actually I had someone recently say to me in Spanish, "SOCKS." I'm like, I'm sorry, what? SOCKS is Spanish for "it is what it is." I'm like, that's even worse. Just stop it. The one I skipped is the one I disagree with, because I love this word and I've been using this word for my entire adult life, even though
Can I guess?
I know it's not a word. Go ahead.
Fuck.
Fuck
No?
will never go out of style.
Okay.
Number 8 on this list of words that shouldn't be used is irregardless. I think you and I've talked about this. I love the word irregardless, and
I hate it. I hate it with.
Well, the
I
reason
hate that word, Brian.
the reason I know I know that irrespective is a word, and I know that regardless is a word, and I know that irregardless is not a word. But I have for 30 years been playing what I call the irregardless game. And what I do when you have someone in your life that is a bit of a pedant who likes to be corrective, I will intentionally use the word irregardless and wait to see if they'll correct me, because it works occasionally, because you can get someone riled up that just has to be corrective, and if you manage to get them to acknowledge fault or blame or something on another point, they will always come back around. Oh yeah, and by the way, irregardless isn't a word. Like yeah I know. I'm very very well aware of the fact that irregardless isn't a word, but I wanted to feel like you were doing well, so I gave you so irregardless you should keep using, I think.
Well, you and I will have to disagree on that point.
On that on that one point, yeah. Okay.
I hate that word. Other phrases, I'm sure they've been tried for a while though. Thinking outside the box has bothered me for years.
Oh yeah.
I hear that and just want to stick a pencil in my ear. Going back and listening to myself, I say, yeah, okay, I can see that a lot, and that is driving me up the wall when I listen to our episodes and check them out for stuff.
When you say yeah,
okay, I see.
Okay. Okay.
I can see that. I can see that. So I'm trying to pick it up on my own, my own verbiage when I say something that I'm saying way too often.
Right. Okay.
That's a good list. Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think with probably most of those, and I like it when people kind of return words to their roots, like when you look at the word like awful, and what does awful mean? It doesn't really mean bad. It means that you are full of awe, right? That you are an awe that is truly like what is awe? It is this equal parts wonder and horror. Like what is coming next?
Right. Sure.
That you are in awe of God's wonder, and that it's beautiful, but damn, is that some scary shit at the same time.
Nice.
So I kind of like it when words kind of return to their roots, but I'm all for getting rid of certain phrases and
right.
Ideas like that.
Yeah,
and my son and I have had an ongoing battle about the Oxford comma for a couple of weeks now. So,
and you're in favor, I assume.
I don't give a shit one way or the other. I really don't. I mean, I can see I don't use it personally, but he's adamant about using it. But you have to use it. I'm like, no, it's just, I don't care. Whatever. Okay.
Right. Let's get really pissed off about it. Right. It's so important. The other one that aggravates the hell out of me to this day, it's still fairly common, is people that say as a constant
like
filler.
Like
yeah, oh, God, like I'm gonna hurt you. Stop saying that. So,
and then there's certain parts of the country that use hey in that way. Hey, hey.
Yeah, cut it out. Bad habits.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
there you have
Bryan,
it.
and thank you, Lake Superior State
Lake Superior,
University.
the fighting Lakers, whatever they are. All right,
I'll look
I've
it up
got
while you get started.
okay. So I've got a story for you. I started writing this story a very, very long time ago, mostly in my head, and then over the course of a fairly long period of time, I actually put it down on paper. So it actually exists now in written form. And this is a story called Three Angels on a Bad Day.
Okay,
Uh-oh, he's laughing already.
I am.
August 25th, 2000 was a very bad day indeed. It was hands down the worst day of my life. So bad, in fact, that I can't even tell you when my second worst day occurred. But first, a little history and a little context. My father and I worked together for several years toward the end of the 1990s. He and I shared a small office in South Austin. We got along well, and I got to spend almost every day of my life with Pop for nearly 6 years. While very different in personality and temperament, we had a shared appreciation of cool weather, dry humor, verde sauce, and a well-placed curveball. So you can imagine how alarming it was when I walked out of my office that August morning to find him laying on the ground. He wasn't speaking, and there was blood coming from the back of his head. He seemed to be choking, and I reached into his mouth and moved his tongue out of the way. Still, he wasn't speaking, just gasping. I had taken CPR more than once, and I made the attempt. Someone from the neighboring insurance office called 911. I started chest compressions and mouth to mouth. Someone assured me, "Help is coming, help is coming." Moments later, a fire truck and ambulance pulled in, lights flashing, sirens and horns blaring. In my panic, I didn't know if I was doing any good at all, but I was struck by the nonchalant approach of the EMTs. My crisis, at a glance, seemed to bore them. I moved out of the way, and my father was surrounded by 3 technicians who went to work. A number of firefighters were there as spectators, and they were soon joined by workers from the building. Everyone loves a show. As I stood a few feet away, watching this insanity, a woman approached me. I had known her, but only in passing. She was, I think, the office manager at the insurance firm next door. Likely in her 60s, she oversaw a daycare of young professionals and very much had the vibe of a den mother. What was her name? It was a 50s name, Florence or Joan, maybe Dottie. She had red dyed hair cut into a bob and always dressed vaguely like an 18th century nobleman. Bright, shiny pantsuits in paisley and plaid and in every color of the rainbow, touched with scarves and ties and fabric squares. She walked with a pronounced limp and had an impressive collection of canes. Her outfit always matched her cane, no exception. She had glasses on a chain around her neck. A monocle wouldn't have seemed out of place. She leaned on today's cane with one hand and put her arm around me. "Your father's a strong man," she said. "I'm sure he's going to be just fine." I said nothing. I appreciated her kindness in the moment, but didn't have the courage to say that I didn't share her optimism. Shortly, she decided she could watch no more. She turned to return to her work, but got her feet tangled with her cane, stepping up onto the sidewalk. The cane flew out to her side and she fell forward, landing on her chest and slapping her head on the cement. I turned toward her in shock and immediately saw blood on her face. "I'm fine," she said. "Take care of your father." One of her coworkers and a spare firefighter helped her up and got her inside. Moments later, Pop was moved to a gurney and they were prepping to leave with him. Rear ambulance doors were open. I could see on the monitor that his heart was beating. I moved towards the front of the ambulance for the ride to the hospital, but one of the EMTs put her hand on my chest, saying, "I'm sorry, but you can't actually ride with us." I must have had the look on my face of a man who wasn't going to accept no for an answer. Before I could speak, however, the ambulance driver, a huge man with a red crew cut, said, "It's fine, I'll take him." He threw open the door and I climbed in. What's hard to appreciate about an ambulance is their sheer size. It's less like riding in a pickup and more like being on the bridge of a ship. We pulled away, generating a cacophony of noise as we went. And I quickly noticed we weren't really in traffic so much as we were above it. I peered down at the tops of everyone's vehicle and saw no faces as everyone peeled off into parking lots and tried to find a space in which to hide in order to give us clear passage. That is, until we encountered the beige sedan. At the corner of South Lamar and Riverside Drive, there's a stoplight. Drivers were dutifully moving out of the way as we moved north, but this light turned red. We had one car to clear, and they inexplicably stopped at this light with us 10 feet behind. They wouldn't move forward or do a U-turn or do anything helpful. We were hemmed in by cars on the right and a telephone pole to our left. "Move, you motherfucker," yelled the driver. He leaned on the horn, which was not really a, "Would you be a dear and scooch out of our way, darling, beep, beep," and was much more of a, "I will kill you and your whole family," foghorn. "Move, you worthless motherfucker," he tried again, now longer on the horn. The beige sedan's driver was unconcerned and unmoved. What happened next was truly a thing of beauty. "Move your fucking worthless ass, you goddamn motherfucking," and it kept going. He screamed profanities at this driver for 30, maybe 45 seconds. A perfect stream of cruelty and meanness, laced with sarcasm and hostility, without hesitation or repetition. Pure, perfect, unadulterated rage, all the while blowing the loudest horn on the face of the earth. Finally, slowly, this driver decided maybe it's okay to do an illegal U-turn if you have a murderous ambulance driver behind you. We were finally free to proceed. I never saw this driver's face. I have no idea if it was a teenager or a grandmother. Regardless, I hope they shit their pants that day. As we sped on, I said, "That must happen a lot." He turned towards me, flushed with rage, and yelled, "Every fucking goddamn day." His face now matched his hair. Perhaps 2 minutes later, we arrived at Brackenridge Hospital. As we pulled in, I muttered, "Thanks for giving a shit." He nodded. I leapt down from the cab and was convinced one of two things was about to occur. Either my father was about to step from the back of the ambulance, nude but for a hospital gown, and saying, sorry, I'm all good now," as he pulled out his IV. Or he was already dead. So I was surprised when neither occurred, and they were still working on him. He was wheeled in and taken away, with a technician on every side. Someone grasped my shoulder, steered me past reception, other patients, people coughing, parents crying, instructions over a loudspeaker. My cell phone was ringing. I managed to talk to my siblings. Someone called my mother and she was en route. I passed all the people and noise and sensory overload and was placed into a room the size of a lunchbox. Finally, silence. 6 or 8 chairs, one door opposite, plus the door I'd just come through. Music? Is that the girl from Ipanema? What in the hell just happened? Whatever it wasn't happening. This can't be happening. I stood there. Seconds passed, or maybe minutes. I can't be sure. Then she walked in. I can't be sure if she even introduced herself. I don't know if she knew my name, but it was clear she had the oldest soul of anyone I'd ever met. She came through the door opposite and looked straight at me. She had long, straight, dark hair, maybe 30 years of age. Her eyes were black. She calmly stated, "They are still working on your father. His heart stopped on the way here. It stopped again when you arrived. They are still working. He is still fighting. I will come back when I know more." Had Yoda and Pocahontas had a love child? Here was this woman, the eye of the storm, looking through me. I instantly felt, if not better, certainly calmer. She returned a few moments later, softly stating that staff was still working to stabilize his heart. Several minutes passed. She returned a third time. "I'm so sorry," she said. "Your father lost his fight, but he fought really hard." I collapsed into the chair behind me, crying, my face in my hands. She moved towards me and placed her hands on my shoulders, the top of my head against her stomach. "Who are you?" I thought to myself. My mother arrived, and I had to pull myself together. I stood. This woman, this client liaison, or whatever the hell she was, gave me a hug. "Who are you?" I thought again. We were led from the lunchbox of grief and were allowed a few moments with my father's body. My mother said a prayer, and I think her pastor arrived. I can't be sure. We collected his personal effects in a huge plastic bag. My mother wanted to make sure we had his wedding band. My brother, I was certain, would want his wallet. I kissed his forehead. We said goodbye. We walked back out through the noise and the pain of others into a bright and sunny August morning in Texas. Now what? How did I get here? Where's the car? We were standing outside the ER, pondering our next step. A friend of my parents had arrived to give us a ride, but I was in a complete fog. My mom was talking, but I couldn't really hear her. That's when I saw that woman again. After being so kind to me, giving me a hug and saying goodbye, she'd walked outside as well. She was now sitting on the edge of a large cement barricade near the doors to the emergency room. But now she was different. Gone was the placid veneer. She was leaning over her legs in her powder blue scrubs, nervously bouncing one knee and sucking a cigarette like she was in a cigarette smoking competition. She killed the first one in seconds and was lighting number 2 when she caught my gaze. I was 50 feet away and mouthed the words, "Thank you," in her direction. What a truly awful job. I couldn't imagine doing it. What was she? An anguish specialist? Perhaps a grief receptacle? What did it say on her business card? I was dying to know. Having now been caught, she carefully put out the newly lit smoke and put it back in the pack. But who could blame her? She'd been witness to my worst day, but had done so for how many other people that day? 10? 100? I wish I'd walked over and urged her to quit this job. I wish I'd walked over and told her she had done enough. She needed to return to that small town in Colorado from whence she came and become everyone's favorite kindergarten teacher. Before I could move, however, she collected herself and vanished back inside. About 10 days after Pop's death, I stopped by that little insurance office next door. Florence/Dottie/Joan was there at the entrance in a little office at the front, behind a walk-up window. She saw me, grabbed her cane, and walked out. "I just wanted to say thank you for being nice to me. I appreciate it," I said. "Also to check you're all right." She hugged me and said, "I'm just so sorry, Sonny. Just so sorry." She still had a scab on her forehead and on the end of her nose. One of the things sudden death provides is the opportunity to grieve, sometimes at random and sometimes years later. One of the things you may not know is that death creates paperwork. Everyone under the sun needs a copy of the death certificate. After we used the first 20 copies we'd been given, I returned to the county office at least once to get more. I think my brother did the same. At the end of September, we were about to board a plane to New Mexico, meet family, and spread my father's ashes on a mesa in the desert. The night before our departure, I was idly shifting through paperwork on my mother's kitchen counter and came across a blank but sealed envelope. I opened it. It was not a nice formal color document like the death certificate. This was a mere photocopy, but it proudly read at the top, "This is to certify on this date that we, the undersigned blankety blank, did solemnly cremate the body of one Alan J. Sullivan. May he rest in peace." I may not have the words down correctly. Not only were we going to board a plane in about 18 hours to spread ashes, now we weren't even spreading the right fucking ashes. I burst out laughing. I showed my mom. She laughed too. We made some calls, did some digging, and it's likely that it was just a clerical error and that we had the right ashes, but the wrong certificate of cremation, but you never know. Spreading ashes is a ceremony for the living to honor the dead. In my mind, it scarcely matters. We could have spread horse manure, and our experience of hiking up a hill, having a moment with our family, and saying a few words wouldn't have been any less memorable. I am mostly an atheist and don't believe in a higher power or an afterlife. But if I'm wrong, I love the idea of Alan J. Sullivan coming to after death, looking out over a wide expanse of desert and saying, "What the fuck? You've screwed me for the last time, Alan Jr." And if Pop's ashes are in an unknown locale, I hope he has a view, the Bahamas or the Golden Gate Bridge, perhaps, and that he's not stuck in an urn on a mantle in Milwaukee yelling, "God damn it, I can't see anything." If there is a lesson here, it's this. There is kindness and empathy and warmth and grace in the world, but it's easy to miss. When you see it, make a note of it. Oh, and when you see an ambulance coming up from behind, get the fuck out of the way. And there you have it. 3 angels on a bad day.
Thank you, Bryan. That was wonderful. I didn't know those details about the day your dad died. I didn't know any of those details. That's except that you were there. I mean, that you were with him when it collapsed.
So that story has been kind of written in various forms, but only in my head, literally for years. And so finally, over the course of about the past 2 weeks, I finally put it down. And now that we've recorded it, and I'm going to make it available in written form as well, hopefully I can stop thinking about it. And other people can read it, and hopefully, I mean, it's not supposed to be a sad story. It's supposed to be sort of a funny story. But
no, it is funny. I was I was torn between holding back laughter out of respect and laughing.
Oh, you
out of
did. Oh, no,
respect.
you didn't. Well, you could have laughed once.
And I've got to tell you that I'm so glad that I went first and it wasn't you going first and then me doing last words. That would have been really inappropriate.
Awkward.
What a dick. Did you hear what he did to his co-host?
Well, that's it for another week.
It is. Yeah.
It is what?
It is what it is.
SOCKS.
Well, thank you, Bryan, and thanks everybody for listening.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for tuning in. Please give us 5 stars on whatever platform you're listening to us on. And like and share and subscribe and do those things. We really appreciate it. And we have more stuff coming.
And as always, be good to each other.
This is a Rough Tiger production.
Bong bong, Bryan.
Bong bong?
Bong bong.
Bong bong. Good.